All right, guys. Hello, Purpose Project family. This is Will Nacito, and have a guest here. Very grateful to have her on the podcast. It's a nice sunny day. So yeah, Krista, would you be inclined to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Krista Pryor. I am currently a pre-K teacher with Swickley Academy. Been doing that for probably, I can't remember, I always forget, 17, 18 years. So I do that. I have two children, Mackenzie, who is 27. She just had a birthday. And Justin, who is 24.
Nice.
So they're all grown and out of the house, and it's just my husband and I, Kenny, at home,
Yeah.
and that's it right now.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of we've kind of known each other growing up. Unfortunately, you were never my teacher personally. I think you may have got one of my siblings or a
I've
couple.
had both. I had Haley and Sky,
Oh wow. Yeah. So I
and
guess you've kind of
currently
been
have your half sibling, Ashton. So,
yeah.
and then I've had Madison. I didn't have Nolan, but so yeah, so quite a few in your family. I've known your
Yeah.
family for a very long time. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of it's nice. I mean, I know Swickley Academy personally has been, a huge part of my upbringing. I was there for, about 12, 13 years.
Hmm.
So, it's awesome that I got on the podcast with Dr. Kinzer, who's in high school, and then you're pretty much on the
Yes.
opposite side of the spectrum in, pre-K. So it's kind of like, um, both teachers. I mean, I know for myself, I've definitely, seriously considered going into counseling or even teaching at some moment, down the line. So it's like, you know, um, it's just kind of cool to, the Swickley Academy, it keeps, it keeps following, it keeps supporting me personally. I know it seriously has. I mean, I had a great time, generally, I had a really amazing time there, pretty much
Yeah.
throughout 13 years. So I know it's been a big part
Yeah.
of your family too. So
It's it's a good place to be, and I enjoy teaching there, and I enjoy, one of my favorite things is that it's all one campus, pre-K through 12, and so you get to see hopefully most of the kids that you had in pre-K and grow and see what they accomplish as they go through school, and watch them in, sports and, plays and things like that. And it's really fun and interesting and rewarding to see them, what they're doing and how they act, like as they act as a 4-year old and then how they act as a as a
yeah,
teenager. Not that we get
yeah,
to interact a lot when they're teenagers, but it's interesting and it's fun. And so that's always been one of my favorite things about my job.
yeah. I guess I mean, kind of like you don't see a lot of 4-year-olds walking around with phones, or I'm sure
Yeah.
you don't get like video footage on like 4-year-olds. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
obviously we all have pictures. I'm sure you have pictures of your kids. Like I'm sure my parents, somewhere have pictures of me whenever I was younger. But I'm sure maybe you could remember some kids. It'd probably be really difficult to remember some kids. I'm not sure if you're
Hmm.
able to do that.
Yeah.
But it's like just seeing their progression throughout, uh, kind of school.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
there's definitely taught a lot of kids. It is definitely hard to remember all of them and all of their names, and it's really difficult. Someone said hi to me the other day and I couldn't recognize who it was, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
just, they grow and change so much.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean that sometimes happens with me, and then like I'll remember like after like, oh, that's who that person's name
Yeah.
is. But it's just one of those things. That's just like a small thing where it's kind of like I don't think anyone. I think we should all like if that happens to anyone, maybe it's kind of like just try to take it, not personally, like from the other
Right.
person's
Oh
perspective,
yeah.
or even
No,
your
you have
perspective.
to
Sometimes you
put
feel like a
yourself
bad
out
person,
there.
like, oh gosh, I feel like a bad person because I don't remember
Right.
who this person is. But that's just
No, I think most people have that problem. So I think it's okay if you just say, "Oh, you know what? I just can't remember. Remind me your name
yeah,
again." And I think most people understand.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things going on in our brains that sometimes we just, can't remember a name at a time.
Yeah. I guess like for me, it's kind of like, this is, I guess, a smaller example, but, it's anyone that follows, me on, because I have various social media platforms. I am trying to be consistent at, doing this and, the Purpose Project and also doing, some of the other, on Instagram. But, one of the things that I say is just, I say it's kind of like, lightheartedness, but it's like, plow, 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 or kind of like a snow plow, just keep, chugging along. If something, not ideal doesn't happens like, not remembering a name or even something worse, it's
Right.
kind of like, obviously, we all, maybe address the situation, but it's kind of like, just keep moving forward. Um, we're kind of
That's a great way to
switching.
look at things.
Yeah.
Not all things go our way, and we have some bad days, and especially in my job, I have some bad days, and it's hard, if anything, like you just personally, if you're personally having a bad day, you have to leave it at the door because you've got all these kids that are counting on you to,
Yeah.
be happy and care for them, and so it's hard. You have to keep moving, and or if you're, having a bad day at school and you find yourself getting short with the kids, and it's like you can't do that. You have to figure out a way to rebound and be there for these kids. They're counting on you.
Yeah. I mean, not doubting your abilities, but I mean, even, just going out to anybody that is watching this that, because this isn't live, but I'll be posting this. Um, that is, has raised kids, it's extremely, unlikely that some kid would never, get under your skin. I'm sure you do have a couple kids that, you just always will get along with. It's
Yeah.
likely that, it's like, maybe some days you won't get irritated and stuff, but they're small children, it's like, I mean, um, it's kind of like that's, you can't like, I mean, I mean, I think that, like, what are ways that you like, how do you manage, you know, not getting short? Like, do you ever like
Right.
remove yourself from the classroom? Or, like, how do you
Right.
do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it does happen, and you get frustrated sometimes. It is hard. I mean, you got 24-year-olds that all need your attention at once, and or doing, like not listening or anything, so you do tend to get short. But you bring them back in, and you maybe, yeah, leave the room, you take a break, just take some deep breaths. I'm lucky to have, a co-teacher with me, so you know I can just say, I just need a breather, you got
Yeah,
this. And but or honestly, sometimes I just start singing.
yeah,
And I'll just make up a song or something, and just as long as the
yeah,
kids, and the kids start laughing, and then you laugh again. So you just have to find ways to pull yourself out of it. And I'm trying to think of when my kids were little as well. It's just they frustrate you when your own children, and again, you just kind of maybe say, I'm just going to take a break, just let me sit for a minute and take some deep breaths.
yeah,
So that's probably the best. I can't, it's been so long, Will, since I've raised my own kids, but when they were little. But you have to figure out a way to calm yourself and calm the situation. So sometimes for me, it's either dancing or singing.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, part of it is, extraordinary, is, frustrating and, some may call, experiencing negative emotions, even, no matter what you do, but specifically here, I mean, raising, basically, you've contributed to so many, kids, there's probably hundreds or even thousands possibly of
I
kids,
don't know.
that know who you are, so it's like,
Right.
it's kind of incredible, like how much you've contributed, um, to a lot of, you know, it's kind of, it's like, I'm definitely curious about, like, do you ever find a kid that's like super, super intelligent, uh, or that is just like, doing things that you're like, how is that kid doing? Like, how does that kid, that aware at this young of an age? Like, does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, no, I mean, early childhood development is extremely interesting, and I always say my day is never the same day twice. There's always something new that happens and something funny that might happen, and um but there's also, yeah, like the kids surprise you, like, how did you just come up with that, and
Yeah.
um Justin would do that to me all the time. He always was good with math in his head. And so even at a young age, he'd do these math problems in his head. And I'm like, that's not right, Justin, or something. And then I had to find it. I check myself and I'm like, darn it, how did you do that? But so yeah, so kids surprise you all the time, and it's just how they come up with things, how their brain works. It's interesting. So, and definitely some kids progress faster than others, and it's not necessarily always a good thing. Like if you're super intelligent, then you might not be able to, if you're always thinking about, reading or math, you just might not enjoy some of the other things, like actually just looking at pictures in a book and understanding a book through pictures, um, or actually understanding what you're reading. Some kids might be able to read, but they don't even know what they're reading. They just are rote, um, or just exploring. Our big thing right now is just social emotionally developing, happy children, how they're developing, how they play with each other, how they share,
Mm.
and exploring and figuring out the world around them by doing things. So I think kids become more curious that way. And if you want to figure out how things work, then you're going to want to learn more and figure things out more in life. So that's our hope.
Yeah. No, I mean that was amazing. I mean, I think, personally, I mean, I think that was amazing. I'm sure many other people would agree with, me in saying that. I mean, I think, you know, they talk a lot. I mean, who knows? Like there's a lot of things they say like, oh, your brain stops developing when you're 25. Like, oh, your most developmental years are actually between like 0 and 7 or 0 and 8. So like I remember I went to the Montessori school before I went to
Uh-huh.
Swickley. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think Swickley maybe is more disciplined than the Montessori. The Montessori school is kind of way out there. It's kind of like pretty much,
Yeah.
you teach yourself. You pretty much choose. If I'm recalling correctly, uh, you pretty much choose, what you wanna like do, what you want to study. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of like for myself even, doing all these projects, personal independent projects. I'm trying to figure out a way to be independent while also contribute to society. That's kind of where I think discipline comes in. I know
Mm-hmm.
your kids personally, to the best of my knowledge, are doing really well. Have jobs, graduated college, high school. Played sports, this and that. Did a bunch of amazing things already. Um,
Right.
so it's kind of like um, I think it's super interesting. Your job in particular. Is working with young kids and just because it's kind of like just such small things. Like it's like you kind of you probably have to be kind of tiptoe around a lot of it. So I mean, kind of in high school, it's you're bigger, you've seen more of life, you have more leeway to, but young kids, it's kind of like you want to be especially cautious. That's extremely impressive that you've been able to do it, for you know as long as you have. And I would be supportive of you doing it for more years to come personally.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I guess one of my questions is, how does raising kids of your own compare to like contributing to raising kids in the classroom?
It's a little bit different. You can definitely, for lack of a better word, like yell at your kids more, my own
Yeah,
children, and you have to realize that you're raising basically other people's kids. I mean, we're
yeah,
with them, at least 4 hours up to 7 hours a day. Um, so, you kind of look, little kids, they're little, but they're still people and they still have their feelings. And so you have to treat them It's
Yeah.
it's the golden rule, right? Treat them the way you'd want to be treated. So you have to treat them with respect and teach them to treat you with respect in return. So, and the way to do that is to treat them not like adults, but they're people, so they have feelings. Um, so it's kind of the same, but yet it is different when it's your own children. You definitely have a different way of I don't know how to say it, but disciplining. You might
Yeah.
discipline them a little bit harder as their own children. I'm not gonna tell somebody else's kid like things that I would tell my own children. So
Yeah.
there is a difference, but the overall you know process is the same.
Yeah. It's kind of like yeah. Does it ever like I don't know what came to mind like the movie like Baby Boss? Like do you ever have a kid that's like, bossing you around even like a small like kid that's like, like 3 foot, like, that's like, like basically trying to boss you. I mean, I don't know if they're that like I don't know because I've never,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
I've had
but they're
kids that
still like
boss.
pretty decently intelligent, that young,
Oh,
it's like they're like you
absolutely.
said, they're little humans. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm super curious because, I don't know. I mean,
They're
and
That's what
just
they
like
are,
kids,
humans.
it's like they're just so, it's like, has that ever happened? Like, having a kid like that's basically been like bossing you around in the classroom?
No, there's definitely kids that tend to be a little bit more leaders in the classroom that would that would like to tell other kids what to do.
Hmm.
But not necessarily us, no. And if they did, we would just be like, we would call them out on it, and say, is this, what if we told you what to do all the time? We try to throw it back at them. Like, how would you
Yeah,
feel if someone told you that you had to do this, but you didn't want to,
yeah,
So that's usually how we, go about things is and name the feeling and own it. And how could you handle that a different way?
yeah. I think so.
But
Basically, being given that, I had a good experience in school, generally speaking, at least in high school and even in college,
yeah.
despite it not entirely working out so far. I mean, did you have a good experience like whenever you were younger in school that kind of drew you back to wanting to work in a school? Or was it just kind of like
Um,
just something that came up?
yeah, I'm not quite sure how I decided that I wanted to become a teacher. I know when I was in high school, I did kind of decide that I wanted to go into education. Um, Originally, I did go to college for elementary education, so that's more of like first through sixth grade.
Mm,
But then when I got to the academy, I this just happened to work out for me. So the 4 and 5 year olds. But I don't know what it was. It's just something that it kind of appealed to me. So
yeah,
not necessarily my experience. I guess I did have some teachers that I really liked,
yeah,
throughout my career in school. But I don't know if there's one thing that happened, that I'd be like, oh, I'm going to be a teacher.
yeah,
Growing up, I think my sister and I always would play school or, but we also would play like veterinarian, things like that. So it just depends on what, and I always would tell my kids, like, you can't know what you want to do all the time at age 18. So you've got to experience life a little bit sometimes to figure out what really drives you and moves you. So,
yeah. And then some things that, it's like kind of like I'm sure people have told me or at least implied, but at least this is kind of me directly saying. It's like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like we all generally, all of us kind of like, have to, at some point pick something and then kind of like do that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Whether it be, a relationship, whether it be a job, whether it be, even a car or a phone, like you have to make a decision at the end of the day. I know that's something for myself. I can be indecisive at times, not
Hmm.
all the time, but just in moments, sometimes I can be indecisive, so it's like, trying to find the perfect thing for me. I think there's benefit to doing that. I think there's benefit to procrastinating, but generally it's kind of like, you know, life allows you to adjust, in a lot of
Hmm.
cases. So it's kind of like I know for myself, you know, whether it be like, doing accounting or something in business, therapy or like counseling in a school, it's like I just got to pick one of those things and go for it. And, if it
Yeah,
doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it's kind of like, at least, I made a decision to try to go for something. And I hope that helps someone out there if they're anything like
yeah,
me. I think everyone's like that, to be honest,
for
uh,
sure.
indecision. But also, I mean, what are your thoughts about working out?
I think it's for me. I mean, not everybody likes working out, but I mean, I've played sports all my life and throughout college, and I think having that activity or having something that you're passionate about, again, it doesn't have to be about your job, but maybe it's about doing some exercising or gosh, what's something else that people like to do? I don't even know, but like your hobby, right? You have
Like
to have a hobby,
walking or something, like
something.
walking outside.
Yeah, you have to have something, I think, else in your life to to relax yourself, like
Yeah.
it's for your mental health. Like you need to have those mental breaks where you it's scientifically proven that you feel better after you exercise. So yeah, just going for a walk, like that's what I'm going to do as soon as we're done here. I'm going
Yeah.
out for a walk. And it's just, I think it's discipline, you discipline and again making you feel good. I think that's why I work out.
Yeah.
So I also like to eat a lot of chocolate, so that
Yeah. Yeah. No,
so that's
100%.
also why I work out.
Yeah. I guess that is movement. It's like, but I know for myself, I know for at least with Justin, I don't really know Mackenzie as well as Justin, but
Uh-huh.
I know me and Justin, we grew up playing sports. We were always, cruising along. Maybe we weren't in the gym, but we were playing sports. We were involved in team activities.
Yes.
I think, it's kind of like, you know, teamwork, helping you understand how you fit into a team and how other people fit into a team. Also being physically active. I think all of us, just objectively benefit from being physically active. I think you can get injured, being physically active if you're pushing yourself. But at the same time, it's like generally, going, it's like for my thing, because I've injured back, it's like I'm definitely gonna get back on the treadmill and run. But it's like, I got into the habit of, walking a lot this summer, and that was
Right.
one of my favorite best coping skills. If you can find a friend or family member to go on a walk with, or even if it's just by yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
can throw in your headphones and listen to a podcast.
Yep.
I think these things are everybody, knows of these things, but just to keep reminding, myself and other people, encouraging them to, go outside and go for a walk, or go in the gym, and if you have a treadmill in your house, go on just doing these, keeping moving, I think is, something that I think everybody can benefit from.
Absolutely. And as much as you can outside. Like I you know, I wouldn't be in the gym that much. I used to run a lot, you know, um, and lately I've just been walking, with Kenny, but in any weather, like there's something to say about getting the fresh air, the vitamin D, the nature, it's just relaxing. And
Yeah.
maybe listen to, I usually would listen to music, but sometimes I find myself without my headphones. So you're just walking and listening and noticing. And so that's just like the little kids, you're out there exploring and discovering. Never too old.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just telling someone it's kind of like, no matter how old I get, it's like, no matter how much pain, I go through, it's kind of like I know I'll always have that little kid inside me. I think that's just the case with everybody. I was trying to think
Hmm.
of even, it's like, what was I doing like in like lower school, middle school, and high school that like, allowed me to succeed. I think, having structure for me and, having probably more healthy, coping skills. Like I remember almost every day, my family can attest, it's like I would literally go home and then just shoot basketball. If I wasn't, playing, if I didn't have, any sports, like I would just go outside and just shoot basketball for hours,
Hmm.
and just like kind of like numb out or zone out. It's like,
Yeah.
um, I think everyone numbs out and zones out. I think you need to, you know what I'm saying? If you're always locked in and dialed in, it's like, that's overwhelming, I think, to
Yeah.
always be in that thing.
You need a brain break.
Really, it's, you
That's
know,
it. That's what we say. Rest your brain. You need a brain break.
yeah. Yeah, I can definitely relate. I mean, coming back from school and just kind of like, yeah, needing to be outside. You're in the classroom all day, and I mean, to be honest, I mean, probably most of us are in the house, unless you're like a construction worker or something. Even still, it's like most of us are inside most of the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah,
No, it's a stress reliever. I mean, you just it's you need that. You need to shoot the baskets. You need to go for the run. You need to go for a walk or lift weights or like if you have a bad day. I came in the weight room the other day. I'm like, I'm so angry.
yeah,
You just felt like I'm gonna throw this weighted ball against the wall. Just it's just stuff
yeah.
you need to stress, and then you go out and you're better and you're ready for the rest of your life. Same thing if you leave your personal life at the door to go into school. You got to leave your work life at the door and go home and be there for your family. So it's the same thing. You got
Yeah,
to find ways
boundaries.
to
Yeah,
relieve your
talk a lot
stress.
about.
Yeah. So you know those are some of the things that happen in life, and
You know
you've
what?
got to figure out ways to deal with them and move on.
Yeah, working at a school, I mean, I just had this realization now. It's kind of like you're always getting new kids. Like you're never, in a lot of places of work, like you're around the same employees for like a very long extended period of time, unless,
Right.
unless they change jobs. Um, but it's like in a school, like you're always working with new kids. Yes, maybe you'll see similar, kids, but they're always going to be new kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's
Yeah.
a great benefit for anyone looking to go into school. That's actually something for myself that's kind of like, maybe because I actually have, other, well, you're not direct family, but we've been around each other. I, family members that work in schools, that are counselors. So I mean, that, for myself, even, you know, that might be a great option for me, actually. Yes, there's faculty that you've been around for, quite some
Right.
time. Probably some
Right.
of whom you don't, entirely get along with. But I'm sure there are some that, are kind of your rock in some situations,
Mm-hmm.
outside of family.
Yeah.
I guess, this brings back the final, question for is about is about marriage and kind of any tips or tricks of how you've been able to be married. um
Oh boy, that's a tough one. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
Um, you know, it's communication. That's always a big thing is communicating, and I'm not the best at always that, and how you're feeling, but the good thing is that my husband is and is able to draw those things out of me so that we can have these conversations. Um, Laughter, and honestly, like, I think again that's just one of the big things is just laughter. What else? Communication, laughter, being there for each other, thinking about each other, um working through conflicts. Again, that's through communication. You're not always going to agree on everything, and you hate to say agree to disagree, but you can certainly have different opinions and share those opinions and work through them. um
let me ask you, do you
and
think, like, sorry, were you gonna say something?
no,
I was
no,
gonna
no.
say, like, do you think, like, I think one thing I said is like taking space. I think work kind of does that, taking, physical space away from each other for, even, every, you know, days, or weeks, on end. Like taking space from one another so you don't, I think, anyone that's, super, close with one another, for a while, I mean, it's just, likely, you're gonna, you know, I think, finding hobbies and then outside of, your partner and then also, um, taking space once in a while, I think would be a good thing. But
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I
you
think it's
obviously would know better than me.
yeah,
It's
no, I
just
think it's
like
good
me
for you to
observing,
have,
you've actually done it.
yeah, you have different things that you enjoy doing, um and that's okay. And you should be able to go enjoy those things and do them. Kenny likes to go, his cars and racing and, things like that. So he does that, that makes him happy. And, but you also find things that you can do together, and, we'll go walking together, or, what else do we do together? Sports, work out or anything like that, so we'll find things that we can do together, play golf or something. So yes, there's definitely a balance. I do joke a lot that I won't retire from teaching just because I don't want to stay home with Kenny all day. I'd go crazy. And vice versa. I'd probably drive him crazy. But no, I'm just kidding. Because there are people, I mean, you do retire and then,
Mhm.
you are with your spouse, so you have to find things that you love and that you want to do on your own, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you do things together and enjoy things together as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 100%. I mean, that's kind of I guess that, I guess, I think, obviously you could definitely do it, stay home with, Jenny. I think, that's something I haven't really considered, to be honest with you. Um, but, it's kind of like, I'm sure you have friends, people around town that you could, also go hang out with once in a while.
Exactly.
Um, whether it's your kids or, your kids' friends, um,
Hmm.
or just anyone around town. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think, I've personally wrote down a bunch of stuff, you know, based off of, what you were talking about. I think, I've realized, something great upon this conversation personally, um, with possibly my career choice. And, hopefully, this video inspired, someone else out there. Hopefully, someone was able to take away something from this conversation outside of the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Krista, is there anything else that you would like to say, closing this video off?
Hi. I mean, I don't know, just laugh, laugh. You got to laugh, be kind, and, remember to people have feelings, treat each other the way you'd want to be treated. The golden rule. You got to live by it. So that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing stuff. I mean, yeah, so I
And I
guess
think you should be a counselor, Will. I think you'd be really good at it.
yeah, no, I would genuinely, I mean, maybe not every day, but if I could, muster the consistency to show up and on a daily basis at school or wherever I
Yeah.
be a counselor,
It's
hopefully at
schools. Yeah.
school.
Yep.
But I think I definitely could contribute to a school.
It'd
Um,
be tough, but it would be rewarding. You know,
100%.
you got to put the work in to get the reward, but it would be a tough one. But I think you'd be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something to
I
think
think
about.
that's honest. Yeah, I think that's an honest, I think it's very honest. I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely, yeah, I mean,
You got to figure it, and you might find that it's, you try and you don't like it, like you said. Maybe
yeah,
you do want numbers and be an accountant.
yeah,
I personally,
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think, it's kind of like, with any given thing, you know, there's going to be, ups and downs. And, I think, that's just something that we all know. I think we all just inherently know that. But we all, at the end of the day, we all pick something, a job or a spouse, or a car or a phone, and we go for it.
right?
We go for, even just deciding like what you want to do and on a daily basis, you pick something and you go for it. Um, so I think, another critical thing, that I'll point out, from our conversation is kind of like leaving your work life at the door. I think that's a really tricky thing. Kind of to set, trying your best to, set these boundaries, at work, in any given relationship so that, you have time for yourself to, recharge and,
Right.
experience, good moments for you.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think, at the end of every video, I try to wear this, be kind shirt, kind of what we're saying, treat others how you want to
Yep.
be treated kind of thing.
That's it.
So, uh,
Be kind. Smile.
mind, yeah, that's something that I'm working on.
Yep.
Smiling.
Yep.
Uh, I'm not like unhappy. It's just like sometimes I just don't smile. But yeah, it's kind of like be kind, and then also appreciative of Zoom for, allowing us to jump on this. Haven't had too many issues at all so far. So Zoom is awesome for allowing us to jump on here and, do recording. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll be able to do another one sometime in the near future, whether it be months, weeks, months, years down the line. Hopefully we'll not never be deleting this Purpose Project podcast. So yeah, I mean, once again, at the end of every video, Krista, if you know of anyone else that would like to, be a part of this project, or if anyone watching this wants to be a part of it, please reach out, and I'll get back to you. So yeah, I mean, once again, appreciate you, Krista, for hopping on,
Thank
and
you.
once again, be
Thank-
kind, and thank you, Zoom.
All right. Thanks, Will.